audio. Which is odd. Okay.
All those tests.
Yeah.
We experience the same thing here with our county commissioner meetings, and we test before each meeting, and invariably something goes awry.
How many county commissioners are there in Kent?
3. We have 3.
Is it generally 3 throughout the state, or are there some counties? No, it's not. Okay.
Most have significantly more. Did we get the okay?
We are good to go.
Okay.
Good to go. Okay. Sorry for folks in the general public that may have been on that could not hear us, but we've got the sound corrected. Here's the agenda for the day. Next slide. And approval for the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from March 25th, 2021?
This is JP. I'll approve the minutes as written.
Is there a
This
second?
is Morgan Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
On to the director's report. Next slide. I would like to report again that I've incurred no direct expenses in the past month. I continue to refrain from all travel and business expenses. I did direct staff to pay for a one-day course for my required professional engineering credits. The course was entitled Restoring Natural Areas in Maryland on April 23rd, and that was for $289. In addition, I haven't joined the Chesapeake Water Environment Association yet, but I do plan to join CWEA, which is a Water Environment Federation member association. I am a past president of a member association, the Federal Water Quality Association out of DC, that always had joint membership with CWEA, which is Maryland and Delaware focus. Ms. Verketic could correct me on that, but I attended yesterday the association's Effective Utility Management Virtual Conference. It's also going on this morning, so obviously I'm missing some portion of it, and that was a $40 registration fee. I do want to let you all know that I intend, and I've expressed this to staff at the last all teams meeting, that in May I plan to start visiting sites. When I do visit sites, I'd like to bring fruit and coffee in lieu of donuts, or bring some donuts, but try to bring healthy snacks to the sites and learn and get to finally observe our facilities in action and learn from our employees, our teammates throughout the state. So I'm starting to get those scheduled, and just wanted to give notice to the board. I will make sure that I'm always within the intent and the letter of the new law as far as the director's expenses. Can we go back to the other side and let that slide stay up for most of my comments, because I don't want to get into the bill yet, the law. I do have a couple of announcements. The first is the retirement of Miss Tammy Banta. After 34 years of dedicated service, Miss Tammy Banta has retired from her position as Managing Director of Environmental Dredging and Restoration. Ms. Banta started her career with MES as an environmental specialist at Hart Miller Island in March of 1987. She provided firsthand environmental and project management support to many projects and studies over the years, including G West, Site 92, Pierce Creek, and Poplar Island. As Ms. Banta excelled at MES, her responsibilities and positions increased until she reached her most recent position of Managing Director of Environmental Dredging and Restoration Group, guiding her team on challenging construction environmental projects such as the expansions of Cox Creek and Masonville dredge material containment facilities and the Conowingo Dam pilot dredging and sediment characterization project. Ms. Banta fostered the development of a very talented and successful EDR team through her strong leadership, work ethic, and commitment to projects, clients, and MES employees. Please join me in thanking Ms. Banta for her service and wishing her all the best in retirement.
Hear, hear.
Wow, congratulations.
I also have to announce the retirement of Mr. Stephen Tomczewski. Mr. Tomczewski, Managing Director of Environmental Operations, announced his retirement on Friday, March 26th, after 16 years of service. Mr. Tomczewski held the position of Managing Director throughout his term of service with MES, and in that time oversaw considerable growth of the Environmental Operations Division. Specifically, during Mr. Tomczewski's term, MES began the highly successful operation of the Prince George's County Single Stream Facility, the operation of the Prince George's County Food Waste Composting, and the management of all the Harford County Department of Public Works solid waste operations. On the engineering side, the group completed the financing and construction of the Midshore 2 landfill, the closure of the Midshore 1 landfill, the construction of 2 transfer stations, 5 landfill closure caps, 5 new landfill cells, 1 single stream recycling facility, and the renovation of 2 other recycling facilities. In addition, the group oversaw the construction and operation of the largest food waste composting operation in the United States. Mr. Tomczewski's operations have won several prestigious Solid Waste Association of North America Excellence Awards, including gold medals for landfill operations and compost marketing. Please join me in thanking Mr. Tomczewski for his service and in wishing him also the best wishes in his retirement.
Hear,
That's
hear.
right. That's right.
All right, Steve.
Next slide. Next 2 slides.
Dr. Glass,
Yes, sir.
this is Joe. To reflect our deep appreciation for Ms. Banta and Mr. Tomczewski's years of service. They will be dearly missed, but they enjoy a happy retirement.
Here, here. So, along with the MES Reform Act, the bill was passed. I have one more comment before that. I did present on April 19th before the Star Commission with support from Mr. Coleman and Mr. Tosi. And in that presentation, after reviewing the legislative intent of MES and its creation in the state, the focus on the presentation was the actions that have been taken to date since my hiring. And I just reviewed the establishment of the Internal Auditor Office, reestablishment, the financial compliant audits of the FY 2020 with the External Auditor, RSM, the work group that is still going gangbusters that I have dove into recently, reviewing all of the agency's policies, which I plan on preparing through management review for Mr. Coleman to have as a package of approximately 130 policies or so, give or take, so that he can review for the board a package of policies, including several new ones that match with DBM or bring us up to date with other state agencies. And I also discussed the complete review of the MES compensation versus traditional state agencies in that presentation to the Star Commission. Surprisingly, I was informed that I may be asked, I may be invited to speak again to the commission in the late summer, early fall, as they prepare their document for the governor's office and the General Assembly. And it's exactly what has taken place in the progress of implementing the new law and enforcing the updated policies of the agency. So the new law will go, most of the things did not change since the last presentation of the MES Reform Act of 2021, but I'll try to get through these slides just to make sure that everyone has a good frame of reference on where we're going for July 1. So the entire bill is effective July 1. Structural changes to MES governance, specified actions for MES management and the MES board over the next 8 months, and multiple transparency measures are built into the act. Next slide. So the board will be reconstituted on July 1. The state treasurer will be added to the board. We're trying to determine whether Treasurer Kopp will sit or her designee as listed in the law. The deputy director, the treasurer, and the secretary are removed from the board as far as being MES employees. The chair will be selected from amongst the board members, and a secretary and treasurer will be selected from amongst the board members. And board members must observe the same standard of care as outlined in Corporations and Associations Article 2-405.1. Next slide. A conflict of interest policy, we'll be working on that. There are some policies on this list that we already have and that are already in the policy project, and there are a few that we do not. So the new board will have to reaffirm the policies, readopt the policies that we already have, and we will have drafts of the new policies that will be sent to legal review before the new board is constituted. So conflict of interest policy, we started working on that this week. Severance packages, that is yet to be started. The BEST program is the bonus, and that's defined. Tuition reimbursement, expense reimbursement have already been, they're not only policies, well, tuition is not only is a policy, but expense reimbursement, we've also done a resolution, board resolution related to that in the last 6 months. Whistleblower complaints, we have a policy on that. Travel and the policies with electronics in the fleet, we do have those policies and they have been revised. So we'll have the new board readopt the things that we have already completed. Next slide. So there are some annual trainings for the executive director, deputy director, and the board in ethics, harassment, diversity, and policies, and policy implementation and enforcement. We are starting to outline how we'll plan for that. So we hope that we will be able to get the State Ethics Commission to come in and give a refresher annually for however long they do, an hour for the board each year. And the others, we're split between developing in-house expertise to do those versus hiring a consultant that can handle a category of business trainings that relate to these topics. We do have an ongoing search for the diversity, equity, inclusion, equal employment officer position. So that has already been advertised. That's also a part, it's probably on another slide. And then the conflict of interest, as discussed before, there will be an annual training on conflict of interest. And we will see if we'll try to get one package of support if it's necessary, especially as we get these things started and as a part of the board culture. Next slide. I already show you my expenses every board meeting, so there's no new work there. But we will have to establish probably, I'll have to establish a contract. I'm the only employee at MES that does not sign a contract. So I will probably have to have a contract with the board and the performance evaluation of myself. So piggyback off of the performance evaluation that already exists in MES for all other employees. most likely very similar and have that package with that job description. The job description for the director in the past has been based off of the bill. However, with the evaluation, you got to connect it to something. So create a job description, and so I'm going to be working on a job description for myself and the metrics, and then hand them to the new board once it's constituted for them to chew on and determine tweaks or what they want. And that will all have to be published on the MES website. Next slide. So we have our independent auditor, and we don't know if we will also utilize them. They did the expense audit, and they do our federal audits, our single audits. So whether we will add this to them with their expertise to do the independent assessment of the board, we have not evaluated that yet, or a new contract with a different business-like firm, maybe the same firm that would be the independent consultant helping us with trainings for the board to do this assessment. So assess the structure, dynamics, and the role, short-term and long-term strategy of the board, financial reporting, board's role in policy assessment and strategies and systems, and then et cetera. Supporting and advising MES and the role of the chair of the board and any other board operations. So this is a role that obviously in law has to be an independent consultant. We won't be attempting to do that in-house at all. So it's just whether RSM would be the best firm to do it, or another firm would have to be contracted. We have our standard audits every year that RSM performs, and then a lot of responsibilities that go with the internal auditor and any other special audits. So we believe that we confirm with all of DBM's requirements. The DBM audit has not been finalized to date. That was started back in August. So, but there really haven't been any findings outside of the expense category. There haven't been any other findings. So anyway, and we'll start posting the audit. Our annual audit is a part of our annual report.
All right.
So that is posted, but we'll, I guess, break it out and just have an audits page and start posting all of our single audits. Anything that doesn't have personal names and personal identifiable information in it, we'll post those audits to the website. Next slide. So the board will have to approve all non-emergency expenses on procurement contracts above $200,000, and that changes from $250,000. The executive director shall notify the board of all non-emergency procurement contracts above $25,000. That is what we do now. And then the BPW approval of any contract over $250,000 to a non-governmental entity, and that goes both ways. For MES receiving more than $250,000. So what services MES gives to the private sector, that's not required for state and local services to state, local, and federal, and the federal government. So those are some significant changes. I haven't had to approve an emergency contract in the 10 months that I've been in this role. However, we're going to tweak our regulation to make sure there's some time frame for when, like the state has, when I have to report to the board. So we'll add that to our regulations at least, so that if there's an emergency and we start to mobilize within, I don't know what the time frame. I think the state is 90 days or 60 or 90 days, but we'll do it within the time frame of a board meeting. Give me 2 weeks for us to just make sure that we notify the entire board that the emergency action has happened and we've mobilized these contractual. But that is an addition we can add to regulation to support the intent of the law. Next slide. So this also, we will have to do some regulations or at least policy to confirm this first bullet, where, you know, and all searches that are related to overhead positions, we've already started the process of following the intent of the law, which is to advertise, conduct a search, and then have a panel-based interview process for positions that are not project-based. So anything that is overhead, there probably needs to be a balance. Anything that is significantly funded, any position that is significantly funded by overhead, we'll have to go through this type of a search process. And we'll formalize this so that my position and the chief of HR aren't in the position of having created, you know, the policy implementation. We'll formalize this in policy and possibly even regulation so that it's just spelled out. Right now it's spelled out in the law, and we're trying to we're trying to follow the intent, but we haven't put it into policy or regulation yet. And then, as I mentioned, the diversity officer, the equal employment officer position is currently advertised. I believe there's been 12 or so submissions, and we'll get that executed before the beginning of the fiscal year, that hiring. And most of these we already do. I don't think we have any storage capacity issues. We implemented these bullets back in the fall, prior to the even first draft of the bill. But we post our meeting agenda, we post the minutes, we have an incredible archive of the meeting minutes, the board resolutions, and that's all on our website. And we'll continue to have the YouTube copy of the board meetings archived. And we don't destroy the minutes are kept for, you know, the life of the agency, so as a record. And I believe, and then along with the contract that I will have to probably have in this role, the whole issue of a severance package for executives will have to be worked out. Obviously, there is no severance for an executive that leaves and goes to another state position. But again, this is one situation where this should just be formalized via contract or policy, so that it's just not in the hands of a decision that's in some way random, or, you know, not codified in some way. So next slide. And that is it, but I would like to open it for questions from anyone, from any of the board members, based on that mouthful. All right, hearing none, we can move forward to the agency activity report. We've done a little tweak in the design, so next slide. We thought that we'd start with just a number, and, you know, usually we just have what you received in your board package with a long list of all of the projects. But we thought that the management team thought that showing projects that are over $1 million and their status would probably be helpful. So, you know, if there are any questions on these 4 projects, I did sign on our side, just for Mr. Snee's information. I did sign the agreement for the Prince George's County Brown Station Landfill Construction Project Management, not to exceed $91 million over the next 4 years. And we had a very good, I'm finally getting the bandwidth to meet with our major clients and have 1-on-2s or 3-on-3s, whatever the basketball analogy would be. But we had a great meeting with Prince George's County Department of Environment's leadership on Tuesday. Mr. Ford, was it Tuesday? The days run together, and that's really speeding ahead. But if there are any other questions on the other major projects in this month's activity report, ask away.
I just like compliment you class on the new format in general. and then Prince George in particular. That's very, very impressive.
Mr. Ford, do you want to make any comments on that?
I have to get it repeated. I couldn't quite understand.
He was just complimenting on the Prince George's County progress and on the format and your beautiful Brown Station landfill cell C image. If you want to talk about the length of the project and exactly what it's doing for Prince George's County, just
Absolutely. So it's an exciting opportunity, actually. We're managing all of the Department of Environment's solid waste engineering work, including the work that we do with our operations side, which we kind of do anyway in that regard. But we're taking over all of the engineering consulting contracts that the county has, including their Brown Station Road Area C infill project. And it's not an expansion. We're not increasing the footprint of the landfill, but we're filling in a valley, and that is currently in the permitting stage. So it's in the phase 3 permitting stage for MDE. There's a very tight time frame, and it was a big driver in this contract. So there's a tight time frame. The county's going to run out of space in 2026. So we need to get this design finished and the permitting all done, and the landfill new cell constructed by 2026. So it's quite an undertaking, and that's partially the reason why the dollar value is where it is for the the balance of the new contract starting in July 1st. But it's exciting.
Mr. Ford, I was surprised to hear this in our conversation on Tuesday. Let everyone know the capacity that Prince George's County will have, how many years of capacity they will have with this new expansion.
Well, they're saying 50 years, but it'll be closer to 100 ultimately. So the first set will be 50 years.
I think many counties will be jealous of that type of capacity. So,
yeah. So that's that. Any questions on that?
Yes, this is Morgan Hall. Just one question. Man, last month's activity report, the landfill was actually at 74 million. So my understanding now is that the total cost is not to exceed 91 million, correct?
Correct. That also includes many other projects, not that are not just it's not just the landfill expansion project. I said expansion. See that? I got myself in trouble. It's the infill project. So there's a number of other projects involved in that. We went through an exhaustive review of their capital programs and which projects would be prioritized over the next 4 years, and that's included in that number. And in addition, there's a contingency in that. That's why it's a not to exceed as opposed to a hard number based on their capital plan. Okay. That just gives the county flexibility. That's not an approval to spend. That gives the county flexibility because this contract has to go in front of their council.
Okay, so it's basically a $17 million buffer built in between the last estimate and the not to exceed price. I take it.
There's a buffer and there's other projects involved. Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Next slide. Mr. Patel.
Good morning. If we go to the first slide here, the labor sales, as I have been mentioning before, since last year was 27 pay periods, this year is 26 pay period, but the trend is getting better. So right now, as of from the projection of labor sales, which was based on 27 pay periods, we have achieved 96.2% overall labor goal, even though there's one less pay period. Some of the like water, wastewater, GES, and environmental operations may even reach the high labor projections. Environmental monitoring and environmental dredging is lagging behind right now from that higher projections. But I personally see, because when I see the contracts, I think the activity is picking up. So we may even, get closer to the projected labor sales. Usually the labor sales are lagging, a couple of weeks behind based on the pay ending date. So depending on the pay ending date, maybe the labor sales will be posted in the previous month, next month. So I'm pretty optimistic about labor sales, even though if we may not achieve 100% of our budget, we will be very close to it. Next slide, please. So the change in net assets for entire year, we had budgeted little over 3 million change in net assets. We are at 3.7 million, and I predict that we're gonna stay at that level at 3.7 million. It's not gonna exceed that, so it will be pretty consistent, which will be about $3,700,000. And as you can see here, most of the change in net assets come from fringe and overhead variance. And the largest portion within that is the overhead variance because of many vacancies in management positions throughout the fiscal year. And we are slowly filling those positions, but the largest increase came from a vacancy in top management positions and the fringes on those positions. Next slide, please. So the total net asset components, if you see, most of the time it was 50-50. It was 50% invested in capital asset, 50% was non-capital asset, what we call unrestricted net assets. If you see in fiscal year 21, it is the invested in capital assets is less than 50%. The main reason being that currently the whatever increase in net assets we are realizing, the 3.7 million I just mentioned previously, it is still sitting in unrestricted net assets. So very likely, after the best distribution and all that will fall again into 50-50 percentage bracket. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, right now we are sitting with expected increase in net assets, 3.7 million. The full year budget is 3.1 million. And I expect that even at the end of fiscal year 21, we're going to be somewhere near $3.7 million. The labor sales is less, but the overhead recovery is higher because of the vacancies. And we are slowly filling it. So this year, whatever savings we realized in the previous months, going to stay there. But, going forward next year when all the positions are filled, then we'll have to consider that in our fiscal year 2022 budget. But right now, this budget, budgeted amount is 3.1 million, and increase in net asset will stay at around 3.7 million, according to my projections. Next slide, please. And this is just the detail of how originally in July of 2020, we came up with projected increase in net assets of $3.1 million. As I mentioned, the labor sales are down, the overhead expenses are lower, so we're gonna probably reach 3.7 as an increase in net assets. As you see here, I think it is details are in your package also, but we have projected interest income of 100,000. Very likely we may not reach that because we are hardly earning any interest on it. Currently we are exploring other options. We are restricted where we can invest our money by the state rules and regulations, but we are gathering information and hopefully we'll be able to receive some kind of additional interest income without taking unnecessary risk. Next slide, please. This is my favorite slide for this board of directors meeting. Prince George's County. We are, and the project management is in constant touch with this Prince George's County. And finally, we received the confirmation that this $502,000 are being processed, and we should receive the payment in 2 weeks. Montgomery County has a lot of accounts, and a lot of projects, a lot of accounts. One of the difference in J.D. Edwards and previous, our current Workday and previous J.D. Edwards is that there's only one customer number for Montgomery County for all these projects versus what was a separate customer number for all the projects in J.D. Edwards. So now we are reconciling all Montgomery County projects, individually, and this $31,000 will be resolved very likely, probably in the next 2 weeks. Town of Sudlersville, we send them the final invoice because according to the termination agreement, we have to send all the pending expenditures as of, I think it was February 26th. So we billed another small amount of invoice. So final invoice is sent to Town of Sudlersville, which will increase this to a higher amount. There's 330,000, and then the other invoices, I think the total due amount may reach to 380,000. Maryland Correctional Pre-Release System, after a couple of months of providing them documentations, contacting their project manager, their accounts payable, their finance, finally we received the word that they have received all the proper documentation, backup, and justification for this 111,000 past due, and it is in process. So we will receive that money too. DC Department of General Services, just I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, we devised a payment plan, which is expected to pay this $10,000 by September. DC Department works on the federal fiscal year, and their purchase order, their budget is based on the federal fiscal year versus MES is fiscal year ending June 30. So there was an expired PO because of the discrepancy in the fiscal years. So we have negotiated that, we have explained that, and it is agreed that we're going to receive this payment in parts. But I think we will recover the entire amount by September 30 because that's where the purchase order expires. South Star Limited Partnership, they are paying all the current invoices. They have no objection to it. This $13,000 is mainly for sinking fund because since we, I think we haven't accepted the full ownership of this plant, but eventually we're gonna own this plant. And for that, we have to create a sinking fund for major repairs or replacement when necessary. It was agreed in the contract, but this high bill is probably creating financial hardship for South Star Limited Partnership, but we will negotiate. We will break it down into smaller payments, and I'm pretty sure we will receive that payment. I haven't been personally involved in this South Star Limited Partnership communication discussions, but I will, and we'll work out something because it is for the sinking fund. It is not necessary this money right now, but it is necessary. It is projected, and we will work out something to receive that. Canusa is price differences, there is a weight differences, and it is common in these recycling materials. So we just have to provide the documentation to Canusa, and the project manager, the finance is working on it, and we will receive most of the money as soon as all this reconciliation is done. As you know, Wise Recycling and JR Sales is in legal. So the reason at the beginning I say I'm very excited to talk about this, my goal is not to have anything on this report going forward, and I'm actively working on it. As a matter of fact, last 2 months, I'm working on a report that any project manager, the managing directors, the group admins can run on demand, which will tell them what is the past due amounts, even if it is 7 days, 10 days, 15 days, past due amount on their projects, the customers. So because they have direct contact with customers on the monthly meeting, quarterly meeting. So I want to give them that tool that they don't have to rely on finance telling them this is past due. They will be able to run that report and know the status of their projects every day, whenever they want it. My goal was to tell everyone that I have finished that project. Unfortunately, it didn't work. Not lack of trying from everybody involved in it, finance plus others, but it is still my topmost priority, and I'm going to give that tool to the project managers, the operating groups, so that we don't have to wait till 90 days. They will know in 7 days, 10 days, what is the status of past due invoices for their particular project. And that's my presentation. Any questions?
Could I ask you a question, sir?
Sure.
When I looked at the very beginning and saw the progression going from year to year up to where we are now, it dawned on me that perhaps you have some idea on this, or perhaps the chief does. Do you know, or have you gotten any kind of projection as to what might be in the infrastructure bill with regard to how it would come into the kind of stuff that we do, which does have, I think, an infrastructure category to it. So is there anything sort of wandering around about this, or are we just going to wait and see what happens? I know it's difficult to know, but.
Yeah, a great question. Very good question. So I'll just give you a couple of information on it, and then Dr. Glass can probably chime in more. So there was a meeting of all CFOs of all state agencies, which was organized by Department of Budget and Management about 2 weeks ago. And the fiscal year 22 budget is already passed in General Assembly.
Sure.
And now they are requesting amendments to the budgets from the state agency. MES directly cannot ask for an amendment because that is directed to the state agencies. So I had talked to, per Dr. Glass's direction, I had talked to some of the managing directors, and it will affect mainly the water and wastewater. So I have informed them that we can get additional money for water wastewater treatment plant. The agencies will have to work with their budget analyst to submit these amendments and to ask for additional capital improvement or whatever money that we can justify. So they will reach out to the agencies, and we will offer our assistance to them. Say, here it is, here what you need, we'll help you prepare the package, but we cannot directly submit for that additional funding.
Thank you. We're at a sort of a difference between what starts at Delmonico steak and might wind up as a hamburger, but we don't know yet what that would be, but I'm sure you're taking a look at it and thinking about it forward.
So just Smokin, we are paying attention, and we're prepared to assist the traditional state agencies should they need support. We're also, delving into areas where there should be increased funding over the next 4 years based on what's being stated and what could be in the infrastructure bill, and that's novel and innovative. So we do have plans to be able to help with shoreline stabilization. We have a couple of groups that have expertise in that area. We do have nuisance flood planning and geospatial capabilities to support counties. I am on the Charles County Resilience Board, and there are suggestions I've read in the paper recently that Annapolis and Anne Arundel County may be forming their own resilience board, which allows for public-private partnership funds to come in and support these types of really stormwater erosion control projects that that are at the heart of several divisions inside of MES with unique capabilities, including the innovative use of dredge materials to support those shorelines. So it's really an exciting time to be at MES. There's also the concept of increased support for alternative energy, for green hydrogen, but also solar, which MES plays a role in supporting the Maryland Energy Administration and the Maryland Clean Energy Center. So there should be a survey, if it hasn't gone out yet, going out to MACO and MML supporters to ask folks that have an interest in solar, and having MES and MCEC work together to both provide the funding and the project management and bring the consulting firms and the contractors that do the work. So, to package the whole thing and tell the counties and towns, you don't have to pay for it. We can do a power purchase agreement, and you can just lower your energy costs. So we're working on all cylinders to see if we can grow over the next few years into these multiple areas that are critical to the state. So.
Well, it's great to have that foresight. So thank you for doing that, everybody that's involved. Thank you.
More than welcome. Next slide.
Dr. Glass?
Oh, sure, Mr. Snee.
Yeah, just a couple.
Hey, you made it to the office.
I made it in. Thanks for your patience. Just a couple of questions. Were the best payments and the $1,000 per employee payments made in April?
So the best payment for the remaining bests was made in early April. The $1,000 payment was made on the same day as all state employees received the payment. And I believe Mr. Patel can confirm that the payments for Best Plus have been made today. And thanks to the board for, showing the wisdom and doing the resolution in November, but also doing the resolution next month to make all those available to everyone. Mr. Patel, can you comment?
Yes. So the Best Plus payroll was processed yesterday, and majority of our employees are receiving direct deposits, so they should have received that payment in their bank account this morning.
Okay, very good. And then, Dr. Glass, is the Sudlersville contract terminated?
That contract is terminated and everything else is in legal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Patel. Great report. I support your ambition of having that page be blank.
All right.
Ms. White, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
We currently have 872 positions, and when all of our openings are filled, we will be at 6.38% vacancy rate. That is an increase. We've had, I think Hammond even mentioned, we've had an increase in vacancies, and we also have an increase in additional positions. So it looks like we'll be very busy in hiring in the next couple of months. And we continue to still have our remote orientations every month. Any questions?
No.
Just one comment. When we get to 28 more employees and reach 900 after 51 years, that'll be quite the milestone, and it's worth celebrating. So I just want to put that on everybody's radar.
All right, 900. Thank you, Ms. White.
You're welcome.
Group updates. I believe Ms. Dolliner is first.
Thank you. Fishing Creek is a 15-acre reservoir supplying water to Frederick City and the surrounding community. Phase 1 of the Fishing Creek Dam improvements and dredging project includes preliminary planning associated with dam improvements required by MDE dam safety, and also to address dredging a portion of Fishing Creek Reservoir to improve water storage capacity that has been lost due to sediment accumulation. This is the first task on a new MOU with Frederick City. This is a 10-year task-based MOU, and this MOU could potentially have tasks that would span planning, design, operations, and construction in the areas of water, wastewater, EMS, renewable energy, dredging, and also GIS. Anchor is the proposed subconsultant for the engineering work, and MES will perform about 130,000 of this work. Anchor is also a board item for potential approval, and we're going to use them under the AE shortlist, and it's about 261,000 for their services, and the rest is contingent supplemental services.
Any questions for Ms. Dolliner? And I want to announce to the board, Ms. Dolliner is stepping up as the acting director for EDR. I believe Ms. Dolliner has 31 years of experience at MES, so a strong leader in the group, and welcome to the position.
How many gallons of water's behind that dam?
Millions.
All right, that's
if not billions.
That's good enough.
Thank you. Next slide.
Okie doke. So this is the Montgomery County Leachate Hauling and Other Support Services. I think you heard Hammett earlier mention that Montgomery County is the work that we do, the Environmental Operations Group that we do, is made up of many different projects. We don't have an omnibus agreement with the county. So in order for us to be able to offer other services, we need another IGA in place. It's not related to the grinding operation or the composting operation or the operation of the MRF. And our leachate hauling and other support services IGA does that for us. So this includes not only hauling leachate from the Oaks landfill to points that are directed by the county. It's also work that we do with other engineering firms that support the landfill operations, the closed landfill operations. We also maintain 8 scales at the Shady Grove Transfer Station complex, and then there's other environmental services work that we are tasked with on an on-call basis. For instance, we're talking to the county now about putting together a small program to collect scrap tires when they do a stream cleanup or something within the county. So that would fall under this new IGA. The specific project, and the nice pictures of the trucks, is the collection of leachate from the closed Oaks landfill, and it goes to the WSSC discharge station at Durwood. We purchased the tractor and tanker for the county. They're county, or is county equipment. And in FY20, we transported almost 5 million gallons of leachate and 2.4 million gallons through the 9 months in FY21. So the more rain, the more leachate we get. And until they fully cap that landfill, we'll see those volumes grow as weather changes. So that's that. Any questions? No?
I have one question. How much is that truck and trailer?
A new truck will go anywhere 80 to 125,000, depending on the truck. And the trailer, I'm not sure what we paid for this one. You can get them for around 35, 40,000. Don't necessarily have to be new, but I can find out, Joe, on what the Mr. Snee, what the cost for these were.
Yeah, actually, that's better pricing than I predicted. But if you could get that, I'm just curious.
Yeah. If you're buying new, it's a little bit more, right?
Right.
So
okay,
you can get 1 million miles on a truck.
I take it that's diesel.
Diesel, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ford, and thank you for stepping up as acting director for the Environmental Operations Group and doing a lot of blocking and tackling and hitting the ground running as we prepare for the next fall. Next slide, please. Mr. Gillespie.
Morning, everyone. Typically, as part of the board update for our group, I highlight our operations, whether that be water, wastewater, or at BWI. But this month, I'm actually highlighting some of our technical services that our staff provide. This is a unique arrangement. We have 3 staff actually that work on site at the Department of Natural Resources. But those 3 staff are actually funded by MDOT State Highway Administration. And the reason that they're funded by State Highway is that those 3 staff at DNR review projects that have natural resource impacts or potential impacts and help move those projects through the permitting cycle. So our staff work at the direction and at the guidance of the DNR staff. We're under their purview. So all of the recommendations from a permitting perspective that we make or our staff make are reviewed by DNR staff. So it's still very clear that it is DNR's permitting program. We're just providing technical expertise to them in order that they can meet their mission. The example here that I provided and some of the pictures, one of the reasons I chose this is kind of a jab, good-handedly at our dredging folks. They're not the only ones to get to play with turtles. We get to play with turtles as well. So this was a project where State Highway was doing a stream restoration project. It was identified as a bog turtle habitat, which is a rare, threatened, endangered species. There was actually a long study that was done. The top picture you can see is a bog turtle with telemetry equipment on the back of its shell. So we actually monitored how far these turtles migrate and potentially how construction might affect them. So our staff were able to work with the designers on the SHA side, also with DNR on the permitting side, to make sure this project could go forward. State Highway could use this to meet their TMDL stormwater requirements, but without impact to the bog turtle in this process. So very, very interesting example of how we work within other state agencies to help progress everyone's environmental mission. Any questions on any of that?
No.
Speaking of turtles, how are the Maryland terrapins doing at the aquarium at headquarters?
That's Ms. Dahlner question,
Yes.
I believe.
Since we are remote, we have taken the turtles and they're being taken care of at different people's houses.
Okay.
But they're well taken care of.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
And they're just as cute as ever.
Very good.
So I think this goes in the category, there's this new term floating around environmental engineering, ecological engineering. So I've attended a presentation for that Natural Areas of Maryland program, and a professor that called himself an ecological engineer and had some not so nice things to say about environmental engineers. But I don't think he knew about projects like this, where environmental engineers, environmental sciences engage with biology and protect the environment, not just, the water and the soil, but the also living creatures in those areas, and make sure that even as we increase, even as we address the TMDL program, the Chesapeake Bay TMDL program, we are cognizant of bog turtles and map turtles burying in sediment in Conowingo, and our projects are controlled by the NEPA policies that make sure that we do protect all living things in a region. So thanks for that, Mr. Gillespie.
Thank you.
Next slide. Mrs. Crosby, 14 items.
Good morning.
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 Good morning.
Good morning. So item 1 is for the ECI natural gas pipeline and propane conversion. This is to furnish and install a new natural gas service pipeline to deliver natural gas from the Chesapeake Utility District Regulation Station to the ECI cogeneration plant, ECI Annex, and the ECI Maryland Correctional Enterprise Building, and to convert propane equipment at the Annex building to natural gas. The natural gas pipeline is to be completed by September of 2021. For this project, the estimated cost is $1,659,600, and the MBE goal on the project is 20%. The bids are currently being advertised, and they are due on May 12th.
I move item 1, Dr. Glass.
Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next item.
Okay. The next item is the Brown Station Road Sanitary Landfill Phase 5 Landfill Gas Expansion. This is installation of Phase 5 Landfill Gas Collection System expansion into Area B, Cells 1 and 11 at the Brown Station Sanitary Landfill. This is a AE shortlist procurement. The estimated amount is $498,907, and the MBE goal on this project is 35%.
This is
Any
JP.
questions?
I'll move this item.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
This is Morgan Hall.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Excellent. Next item.
Next item is the Brown Station Road Sanitary Landfill and Sandy Hill Landfill Leachate hauling and disposal service. This is an on-call loading, hauling, and disposal service for the Leachate generated at the Prince George's County facility. This is a competitively sealed bid, and the estimated amount is $1,600,000. The MBE goal for this project is 30%.
This is Shelley. I'll move this item.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Okay, item 4, the Montgomery County Dual Stream Material Recycling Facility, inbound and outbound scale. The award, this is assisted piggyback contract with the Anne Arundel County contract listed here. The awarded contract is Mettler Toledo Inc., and the amount is $280,085. The term of the contract is to have 30% down payment upon the order and the remaining due upon installation.
I'll move item 4, Dr. Glass.
Thank you. Was there a second?
Second.
Oh, thank you, Judge. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 I was surprised at how much we buy lab scales from Mettler Toledo for about a couple grand, and I thought they were expensive, but I didn't know how expensive they were for trucks. So much cheaper in the laboratory.
Yeah.
Next slide. Oh, good.
Okay, item 5 is the Montgomery County Yard Trim Compost Facility. This is Montgomery County Yard Trim hauling, transport leaves and yard trim from Montgomery County grinding operation in Darwood to the Montgomery County Compost Facility in Dickerson. This is a competitive sealed bid procurement method, and the awarded contractor is WB Waste Solution LLC. The amount of the contract is $627,030. $627,030.95. And this is a 2-year term starting with the written notice to proceed with 3 1-year renewal options. And the MB goal is 28%.
This is Morgan Hall. I motion that we move item 5.
This is JP. I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, item 6. For the Environmental Service Group, this is to MES to support Maryland State Highway Administration with drainage management, remediation, and maintenance service. This is an amendment to an assisted contract. The contractor is Concrete General, Inc. The term of this contract was 1 year to December 31st, 2021. There was a modified term of 6 additional months to June 30th of 2022. The original contract was $248,545.08. The modification to date was change order 1 for $220,000, and the amount of this change order is $350,000. The revised total contract amount is $818,545.08. There's an MBE percentage of 10% to Copeland Trucking Guardrail, Inc.
This is JP. I'll move the item.
This is Morgan Hall. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, item 7 is for the Masonville DMCF supply and haul of field material to the Masonville Dredge Material Containment Facility for use in the dike construction, approximately 300,000 cubic yards of material. The method of procurement is the competitively sealed bid. The advertisement date is to be determined. The estimated amount is $10 million with a contingency for inflation, and the goal is to be determined. Previous contract goal was 10%.
Could you tell us where, or tell me anywhere where Masonville is?
It's right inside up from the is that Key Bridge, or is that, or it's closer inside the harbor? It's
the harbor tunnel. So if you're going through the tunnel, going south, you can see it to the right.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I just interested to know where it is. Thank you.
Judge Schmoke, and also if you see that green area in that cove.
Yes.
Ms. Dollar, I'm correct, and that's where the education center is, and has a nice hiking trail.
Oh.
Am I correct in that? Because I haven't been there in several years, but
Correct.
So we'll get the board over there once things open up, because it's a great education center and it's a great example of what's done for the Port of Baltimore, and how that was carved off as again an ecological area next to an industrial area in the MISOD, in a maritime industrial zone. So just for your education, that all that green and brown is a beautiful park.
And it's also where the Ro-Ros are.
So it's also where roll on, roll off, heavy equipment and cars are.
Yes.
And I believe Mercedes-Benz is over there. Is Mercedes-Benz over there? Anyway,
Yes.
so there's a bunch of cars. Yep.
This is JP. I'll move this item.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Judge. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item 8 is for the Seagirt 3 dredging project. This is a change order to the existing Seagirt dredging contract to add the Colgate Creek phase and South Locust Point dredging. Transport and placement of up to 90 cubic yard at the Masonville Dredge Material Containment Facility. Competitively sealed bid. The awarded contractor was Corman Closing Construction Company. The original term of the contract was 120 days. The modified term is up to 90 additional days. The original amount was $10,077,750 awarded by the board on 5/27/20. There's an estimated up to 2,350 in anticipation of the price proposal. The estimate is not to exceed $12,427,750. And the current MBE goal on the contract is 10%, but the contractor is achieving 14.5%.
I move item 8.
Thank you.
This is Morgan Hall. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, item 9, it's all for environmental dredging and restoration. This is the Fishing Creek Dam Improvement and Dredge Phase 1 Alternative Analysis. And this is to have Anchor QEA to provide engineering support to MES in the development of an alternative analysis for the Fishing Creek Dam Improvement and Dredge Project. This is from the AE shortlist. The previous solicitation listed the awarded contractor again is Anchor QEA. The amount is $260,799, and the MBE goal on the project is 10%.
This is Morgan Hall. I make a motion that we move item 9.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item 10 is for the environmental dredge and restoration. The project is the Paul S. Sarbanes Ecosystem Restoration Project at Poplar Island. The purchase of 2 Volvo A25 equivalent articulate dump trucks for the Paul S. Sarbanes Restoration Project. This is a non-state assisted contract. The estimated amount is $250,000, and there
750.
is. Pardon me?
750,000.
Yeah, 750,000 is what I meant.
I thought you said 250. Okay, no problem.
I may have. Thank you. Yeah, 750,000. And of course, there's a picture of the truck.
I've driven one of those before. They are fascinating pieces of equipment. You got to be really careful though, because they will overturn if you don't load them up correctly. With that, I'll move item 10.
I'm sorry, Mr. Snee, you're an attorney. Do you have a CDL license?
No, it was on a private development. I was not anywhere out on the public road. Maybe I should have just taken the 5th. I don't know, Judge Smolcom. What do you think?
Well, I like Volvos. I'll put it that way.
Thank you for the second, Mr. Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, item is 11 is for the statewide medical service contract. Statewide medical service for pre-employment screening, safety and compliance and drug testing. This was a request for proposal. The awarded contractor is Concentra. The amount of $350,000, and the term is for a period of 2 years. And there's no MBE Gold participation on this contract.
This is Morgan Hall. I make a motion that we move forward with item 11.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, item 12 is for Environmental Service Group, the Wastewater Engineering Division. The project is the Victor Cullen Wastewater Treatment Plant Gravity Sewer Upgrade to replace an aging, outdated wastewater treatment plant and sewer collection system. This was a competitively sealed bid. The awarded contractor is HR Construction LLC, also known as M2 Construction in Maryland. The amount was $7,957,440. The term of the contract is 500 days from the notice to proceed, and the goal on the contract is 5.04%.
This is JP. I'll move item 12.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Two more to go. Almost there.
Yes. Item 13 for environmental monitoring, MEA Task 9 for fixed resources requirement for technical services. This is a technical and economic analysis service. The original procurement method was a sole source. The contractor is Brattle Group. The original term of the contract was June 30th, 2021. The modified term is June 30th, 2022. The original amount was $200,000. The amount of this change order is $100,000, and the revised total contract amount is $300,000.
Why was it sole source? I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
No, so MEA in choosing specialists with knowledge of FERC and this MOPR rule, they call it MOPR, minimum offer price rule, and the consortium of energy sources, the consortium of all the different sources and what those costs are moving forward with this rule change is analysis they want from a specific consulting group. So this goes in the role of the changes in sole source and making sure we have the justification and background, and it can be provided. Mr. Gillespie can chime in if there's something I missed or misconstrued.
I'll just add to what you were saying there, Dr. Glass. So the Brattle Group was the firm that actually testified before FERC made their decision on the minimum offer price rule. The Brattle Group is also the agency or the organization that's helping several other states that are affected by this decision from FERC regarding the minimum offer price rule. So they are the expert when it comes to alternative energy pricing models that are affected by PJM and this decision by FERC. So that's why both MEA and MES reached out to them and contracted with them for this task order.
All right, I'm very comfortable with that. I'll move number 13.
JP, I'll second.
I have another question. And this might be because I'm new, but this was 200,000. The change order will be 100,000. Does this elevate it to go in front of the Board of Public Works or no? How does that work?
That's what July 1.
In the future, it would. In July.
No, it would
Coleman?
not actually. This is a procurement contract. The MES under current law is exempt from most provisions of Division 2 of the State Finance and Procurement Article, which includes the authority of the Board of Public Works to control certain types of procurements. The MES currently does seek approval of the Board of Public Works for its contracts that utilize state bond monies. That's under the Board of Public Works' authority to approve all expenditures of state bond monies. Under the changes in the MES Reform Act, the The contracts that will go to the Board of Public Works are those where MES will be providing services to non-governmental entities if they are above 200,000. So this is a procurement contract where MES is procuring services, and it would not, under either current law or the new law to go in effect July 1st, it would not have to get Board of Public Works approval for this item.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Sure.
I think we were at the vote.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, item 14 is for the Prince George's County MRF operation. This is recycling service, recyclable diversion service during the facility renovation from April 2021 through July 2021. This was a client-directed sole source. The awarded contractor's Black Bridge Investment. The amount is $321,750, and the term is for 4 months. I'm going to read the remarks. It said Prince George's County Material Recycling Facility will be undergoing machinery upgrades, which will limit the ability to process containers. The bailed containers would need to be diverted to another recycling facility, Black Bridge facility, for processing during the upgraded period. The amount will cover approximately 4 months of transportation and recycling of the material.
Any questions?
I'll move item 14.
JP, I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much, Mrs. Crosby. Except for notifications.
Notifications.
Yep, notifications list. Are there any questions on the notifications list? So these are items under 250,000 and the procurement method.
I have one question, and this again might be because I'm new, but how are the contractors, the vendors, chosen to be on a short list? For example, the A&E short list.
Ms. Crosby.
We held a solicitation for the shortlist, and engineering firms submitted price proposals and their capabilities to us and their rates. So it was procured like any other procurement process.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions?
No.
Next slide. So I do have a couple of items that I like to bring up in old and new business. One is to express my thanks to both the governor's office and the administration and Senator McCray and Delegate Corman for the bipartisan efforts that went into coming up with the Maryland Environmental Service Reform Act of 2021. Mr. Tosi and I and our engagement throughout the process was always professional with all parties, and for what was could have been construed as a challenging effort was actually professionally pleasurable. I don't know if that's a term or anything, but we worked professionally with all groups, and they all provided great support. And this is, the second item is a conundrum that will come on July 1st, where the board will be without a chair to schedule the meetings initially. So I would like to propose a motion that the schedule that has been presented to the board for this year, this calendar year, especially the board meeting that's scheduled in July, be adhered to, just to have that first meeting after the board is reconstituted. I don't know if that was clear enough, just to say that the meeting schedule for July will be scheduled and adhered to, and then the elections that will take place for the secretary, treasurer, and the chair will take place on that day.
I'll second that. That's JP.
All in favor?
In favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. And with that, next slide. So the risk assessment and draft, this is also part of, old new business. Last board meeting, I did not ask for a vote on the risk assessment and draft internal audit plan from the board because you weren't given the opportunity prior to that, except for the audit committee, to see it. So I wanted to know, and Ms. Condra is here to answer any questions, and then ask for a vote to accept this as the full board for the plan for the rest of FY21 and FY22. Are there any questions or concerns for those that reviewed it?
Not here.
So I'd make the motion that we accept the risk assessment and draft internal audit plan as presented from the audit committee at the last board meeting. Is there a second?
This is Shelley. I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Heller. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Next slide. So the next meeting will be May 27th, and the audit committee will meet just to receive a presentation by Mr. Rattel discussing the audit plan by RSM for the closeout of the year. That will really get kicked off in late June or July. They'll really be working from July to September on the RSM audit of our general audit of the organization. So, and then we'll have a board meeting on May 27th after that.
Thank you.
So, at
Dr.
this,
Glass,
yes.
so if I could make one other announcement, just
Please.
a reminder that board members, your financial disclosure forms must be filed by the end of April. So just in another day or so, you've got to get those forms submitted electronically to the State Ethics Commission.
Thank you for that.
And if I may, Mr. Sneed, just to answer your question earlier, it was 107,000 for the tractor and 60 for the trailer. So we must have bought the trailer new.
Okay, that's still good pricing, so I compliment you for a job well done.
There you go.
Okay, so at this point, I am recommending that the board meet in closed session to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this public body has jurisdiction, and any other personal matter that affects one or more specific individuals, to also consult with counsel to obtain legal advice, and to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. If any members of the public object to the meeting being closed, please send an email to MES by noon today, an hour from now, stating your objection. Mrs. Fuller, will you please conduct a roll call vote on closing the meeting so that each board member can be individually heard expressing their vote on the meeting closing?
Excuse me, Dr. Glass, there first has to be a motion and a second made for the vote.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
This is Shelley. I move that we go into closed session.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Mrs. Heller, motion. Mr. Smith, second. Can we have the vote?
Aye.
Do you want me to do
Aye.
that?
Oh, now we'll do now we'll have to say your name and do it by roll call.
Okay. Dr. Glass,
Aye.
Judge Smolkin,
Aye.
Mr. Snee,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Hall,
Aye.
Ms. Heller.
Aye.
That is everyone.
All right. The meeting will be ending following the closed session, and the board will not be returning to open session. Thank you all for a very productive meeting, and we'll see you all next time.
And for the board members, just stay on the line. We'll be moving you into a closed breakout session room. We are still live though, so.
Okay, we'll wait